And welcome back to the Kathy Akers Home Show.
Good morning,
Good
Clint.
morning. I like your new opening there.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I hope you do.
Yes, I do. I do. I did sign off on that.
So, yes, Kathy. So we've talked about it a few times, but now that your graphics and everything are absolutely formal now, tell us just again a little bit more about Fathom.
Fathom Realty is a company that is very technology based. The owners of the company started in California. They wanted agents to be more owner specific for their company.
Okay.
So with that, I work from home. If I wanted an office space, I could do so.
Right.
But this allows me to concentrate on my clients. I have more time to meet their needs, meet with them, that type of thing, and they give me a lot of technical support, and and that's where the state of real estate, where real estate is headed.
And you and I talked about this privately before all this became to light, and you like the model and
Yes.
the opportunities that affords you as the business owner to,
Right.
to earn income, and so congratulations on the change. And I know for you and me, it's kind of gotten kind of old hat. Before viewers, they may not understand. And Fathom is not a new real estate company to Rocky Mount, but now has its most prominent member of the organization.
I wouldn't say that, but I appreciate that.
I would say
Clint.
right now you're probably their best producer, and you've only been on board for what, 60 days?
Something like that, yes.
So let's talk about the market. And
Okay.
I know you brought some data in, and we've been talking about this now a year ago. Actually, 2 years ago, really, we were talking about, well, there's all this inventory, and what are we going to do about all these resales, and all these repossessions and stuff are killing Rocky Mountain, the community.
Right.
A year ago, it started to tighten up a little bit. CSX was still coming a year ago, and so everybody was kind of like, well, the future's bright, and but there was a decent amount of inventory last year, and the interest rates hadn't really climbed to the point where they are now.
Right.
Flash forward to today.
Right.
And we have a hot market, interest rates are rising, jobs are in the future. How are we looking?
We're looking pretty good. We need listings, as we've been talking about for about a year.
We need some inventory.
We do need inventory. Right now, as of last night, actively on our market, in Nash County, there are 309 listings for an average list price of $192,867. So that's
come up quite a bit.
And remember, that's our average list price. Edgecombe County, there's 152 homes for sale in Edgecombe County.
Wow.
Okay, the average list price there is $119,308.
So I want to compare those two. So you got for Nash County a 309 with an average of 192, and for Edgecombe 152 for an average of 119.
Right.
That's a 70,000 swing in the average
It
price.
is, and you're going to really notice it when we talk about what our average sales prices are. But remember that Edgecombe County still has a lot of foreclosures. You're going to have a heavier rental market that some people are getting, selling their rentals, that kind of thing. So we still have a depressed market value in some areas.
Although you do have some new,
areas.
You have some new inventory coming on eventually. It's not on the market yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we're going to start seeing some of that. So the other piece is when we look at Rocky Mount City, and remember that includes Nash and Edgecombe, but we're talking about within the city limits of Rocky Mount, there's 295 homes on the market for an average of $163,750.
Wow.
So we of course know that the higher priced homes are out in the county area.
Right.
And so that's where you're getting that, that change in the pricing. However, let me say this, we are starting to see a significant increase in market values within the city.
So prices are starting to go up. Yep.
Yes.
So it's starting to become more of a seller's market than a buyer's market.
It is,
and
but
again, 2 years ago, it was very much so a buyer's market.
right. And so now it definitely, you know, a seller can, you know, won't say that they can set what they want, but, you know, if a buyer's looking, there's a little bit of inventory and they're going to have to look at what's available and in that, you know, maybe come up on what they're willing to pay.
Well, I know we got some more data, but I want to ask you this question because I rode around in the last couple of weeks and just happened, and it's one of those things you just notice some things sometimes more than others. It's, you know, maybe it's always been that way, so I'm asking you because you know. I've been around some neighborhoods lately, so from Wilson Country Club to Rick's Plantation to Red Oak to the Brattleboro area, and you know, it seemed like 4 months ago, May or so, there weren't as many houses for sale or signs in yards. Today, I'm seeing more signs in yards in some of those neighborhoods, and I'm kind of surprised in some of those cases, considering we have what's known as a tight market. Is this are these folks now seeing opportunity?
I think you're seeing that. You know, we had a lot of people that, you know, just as little as 3 years ago, that were looking to put their house on the market for whatever reason.
Just to get out as soon as they could.
Right, and could not. So they either took them off the market or, you know,
Sold them at a loss.
Sold them at a loss. Some went into the rentals because they had to make that move. So
and
now,
let me tell you, there's some neighborhoods that are thrilled to have some of those rentals.
so you know, now that let's say, you know, they've had somebody in there for about 2 years, that person now is out looking to buy.
Right.
You know, that's a good time for them to then put their house back on the market. So we're starting to see some of that as well. Let's talk about some of our for this past quarter, what we're seeing as far as numbers. So we're looking specifically April through June.
Second quarter.
Second quarter. And I do have some comparisons for the first quarter of this year. So let's talk about, let's start with Rocky Mount. April through June of 2017, we sold 175 homes in Rocky Mount.
That's Rocky Mount city limits,
not
each county in the whole,
that's
just
right.
the city limits.
The city limits. This quarter, we've sold 197.
Wow.
Okay. Price-wise, the average in 2017 for second quarter was 133. This quarter, 138.
So about a 5,000 increase in the average price.
Last in 2017, the average days on market was 134.
That sounds reasonable.
We're at 119 now.
So it's definitely dropping.
Definitely dropping. Let's look at Edgecombe County. Last year in the second quarter, we had 59 homes to sell for an average of about 65,800. Days on market was about
65,800. Less than 70,000 was the average Edgecombe price. Okay.
For about 141 days on the market. For this year in second quarter, we've got 68 homes that have sold. Not a big increase, but still some. Here's the difference. The average price was $89,491.
So a 15,000 price increase in average over what we saw in 2017.
And our days on markets went to 138.
So a couple days lower. The price of the housing went up significantly.
Right.
So that's good news if you are a property owner selling in Edgecombe County. What does this do for, and you know, we just went through a tax revaluation. And so all that's kicked, people are actually going to start receiving the tax revaluation bills now.
Right.
July 1st is when they kick in. So we all got notice in January. You start paying them in July. If you have escrow accounts, they kind of take care of them.
You actually paid them last year too.
Yes, well, the increases didn't get posted till January though.
Somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you did pay the new tax bill last year, but
maybe so. I mean,
anyway.
maybe I got my timing wrong. But
yeah.
nonetheless, so as property values are going up and as more houses are selling, those property values go up. The tax values in the surrounding community also go up, even if they don't sell. That's where we get into that conversation about gentrification a little bit.
Right, and remember, we're only doing these revaluations about every 8 years.
Yeah.
So this time, a lot of people were like, wow, my house value went way down, or this or that. Remember, that's tax value, and
tax value is not market value.
Is not market value. And the other thing is they took in the correction from where the economy went down, and we're starting to come up. If we did them more often, like other areas do, you would have been seeing that along the way.
Yep.
So just remember that it takes. We only do it once every 8 years. Nash County, last year, 214 sold for an average sales price.
And that was in April to June.
April to June. 149,638 was the average sales price.
So roughly 150 was the average house value.
Right. About 115 days on market. This quarter, April to June.
For Nash County.
For Nash County. 253 homes sold.
So a good 35 house increase there, roughly.
Right. 156,572.
So it went up almost $6,000 in value. Wow.
Right. Our days on market, 103.
Wow. So it went from 115 to 103. So that's even more telling.
Yeah.
Nash County's turning their houses over a little quicker,
Yes.
is what it comes down to.
Is what it comes down to.
So the sweet spot, I always challenge you on this. Realtors are by law not allowed to discriminate locations and housing and communities and that kind of stuff, especially for folks who are from out of town and don't know. And I understand that, and I know why they do that. But there are folks who say, well, you know what? I'm looking specifically for houses in, the 130 to 200,000 range, if that's what they're looking for. Anecdotally at this time, without the specific data in front of you, how tight is that market where that's the sweet spot for what people want for a family house?
That is very tight. If it is if it's well priced, it's in a desirable neighborhood, and it is in good condition, it's not going to last on the market long.
So if you've got property to sell, if your house is in reasonable condition, and if it's not, Kathy can help point out what you need to fix versus what maybe you can get away without. But make sure you've refreshed it. But if you've got a house to sell, and I've heard this from a few other folks in your industry that are kind of like, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your mom and your dad, I want to buy their house or sell their house for them because it's getting tight out there.
It is. Now, just because we're talking about the average kind of thing, let's, this is some data I pulled that we haven't really talked about before, but in Rocky Mount, with what was sold in this second quarter, the average house was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, around 1,840 heated square feet.
1,800 square feet, okay.
18, okay.
Which is, for a family of 3, that's a typical average house.
Right. We had 27.1 billion sales volume in this quarter.
Wow.
Okay. And we talk about the list to sales ratio. It was at 92%.
Wow.
Okay. 92% of
so you're
what
getting
the house was
92% of what you're asking for. Now, what would that have been 3 years ago?
Probably about 83%,
so
85, somewhere.
So
in
if
there.
you're listing it for 150 and you get 140, that's roughly 20% reduction on what you asked for. But now, if you're listing for 150, you're getting 145,
and
that's roughly in the same.
And remember, we're talking about the city,
right.
because we're
and that's just an example of the math, but basically people are getting closer to their asking price, and that for a seller that's great. For buyers, that means you're getting into a more competitive market.
Right. Now, Edgecombe County, still 3 bedrooms, 2 baths was our average target that we looked at. Roughly 16 to 17,000 heated square feet of that is what sold. 6 billion is the sales volume. Okay,
Right.
and that goes to
Right.
look at where
So
we
again,
were
what
at.
was the Nash County volume?
29 or 20. We didn't talk about. We were talking about Rocky Mount.
Right.
Was 27.
27. Okay,
billion.
27 billion was Rocky Mount.
Mount.
So and Edgecombe County was 6.
Right.
So that's a steep drop
Okay.
there, and in available square footage that was being sold.
Right. As far as the average home in Nash County, it was 3.2. It was 19,000.
Wow.
1900.
1900 square
Square
foot.
feet. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
So-
getting too many zeros in
So
there.
slightly larger than the average
Yeah,
in
to
Rocky Mount,
Mount.
and significantly larger than the average in Edgecombe County.
Right. Our sales volume in Nash County was 39.6 billion.
So the stats are the stats, facts are facts, but some people may say, okay, you're telling a negative picture of Edgecombe County because what I'm hearing is most houses are smaller, most houses are lower priced, and they're not selling as well as they are in Nash County or Rocky Mount.
Right.
And even though that's a fact, that doesn't mean there aren't desirable properties in Edgecombe County.
There's some very nice properties in Edgecombe County, and we find that a lot of homes do not come on the market as well as in Nash County. People live longer in their homes
Right.
in Edgecombe County.
And that's another statistic we probably want to talk about another day is people used to flip a house every 5 to 7 years. People tend to now be, just like their cars, keeping them a little longer. Are you seeing that trend?
Yes, we are. We definitely are. I know I've been in my house over 20-some years.
Yeah.
So, it is one of those things that we are seeing people stay longer in their
It's
homes.
just because we have so much junk, we don't want to move it.
That's right.
I'd rather live in the hole than have to move all that stuff.
The only thing would be you got to buy a bigger house to put the rest
No,
of your
you need to
stuff.
start throwing your stuff away.
So, I get this report. It's called the Shackleford Report. One of our mortgage lenders that we do business with sends it out on a monthly basis to a lot of the real estate agents in the area. And they pull a lot of the data from, of course, our MLSs
Right.
and other things to pull together this report. This is the Nash County report.
Right.
I talk about averages. They talk about median.
Right.
So, and that for, to get everybody up to speed again on math, that's where you take the high and the low and you kind of weed it out to the middle,
Right.
not necessarily an average. Of everything.
Right.
So, some of the interesting things that I wanted to point out was median sales prices, and for July of 2016 through June of 2017, the median sales price
Wow, look at that spike there.
was 134.5.
So in 2017, 134.5.
July 1, 16 to June 30, 17.
Okay, so
we're
16 to
going
17. Yeah.
Right, was 134.5.
Right.
And I know you were looking at
16.
Yeah, from July of 2015 to June of 2016, it was 120,250.
Now, I'm looking at this whole thing here, and so you can't see the graphics, and I would love for y'all to see them, but it's basically you have from 13, you have 119, 114, 119, and 15, 120, so it was just flat all the way across. You got to 2016, it was still 120. Then you hit 2016, 17, shoots up to 134.5, and now you're up to how much for 2017, 18?
We're at 139,995.
So we went from 120 for the median price to 135, 139, almost 140.
40.
That's a $20,000 median price
price.
increase in 2 years.
In 2 years.
That's, I know you see it and you experience it, but you probably experience it more incrementally.
Right.
When you see it so starkly like that, that tells you that the price of housing is going up.
Right, and and we talked about that, and so just to kind of year over year for just the second quarter. In 2017, for second quarter last year, the median sales price was $135,750. For 2018, the median sales price was $145.
So it's 10,000 in just a year in the
Right.
not average, median price.
And we talk about that, but this kind of gives you the hard numbers so that people can actually understand things are turning around.
So
You know,
does
we've
this
talked
mean
about that.
that more of the more expensive houses are coming on the market, or more houses are costing more?
It means that those houses that have been on the market that are higher priced are selling, but we're also seeing more higher priced houses coming
Right.
on the market.
So you're getting a
and
combination of the
selling.
two.
You're getting
So
the
if you
combination.
have that average 18,000 square foot, 1,800 square foot house in Nash County, your value has gone up just in a year.
Let's talk about just the month of June, year over year sales volume. 2016, we had 96 houses to sell in June. That's when we started that uptick in our market, or really started to see that uptick. June last year was only 66, but remember we also had a lot. When did Matthew?
Right.
You know, we had some things that were
Yeah.
going on as well. And then this year, for 2018, for June, was 79 houses.
Wow.
So
And this is Nash County only data.
This is Nash
Yeah.
County only, and that was just for the month of June.
And that's sales volume. That doesn't mean inventory. That's how many houses were
Right.
literally sold in that month. And that's in 1 month. So
Right.
if you, let me ask you this question. If you sold 79 houses in the market every month of the year, would you be happy with that?
Oh, love that. I think we all would.
Yeah, I think the whole industry would be like, ooh, sign me up.
Okay. And just to kind of, we always talk about the other piece that we talk about, and this will be the last piece that I'll give you, but we talk about the inventory levels. How many months of inventory?
And I tend to bring that up quite a bit. Is
Right.
how much is out there that can sustain the market for new buyers? It's not just for folks who are swapping houses. That's a net growth because you're selling one to gain one. You're not really changing the
Right.
population.
But what we're talking about is if we had no new houses coming on the market, and if we had no one taking their houses off the market,
Right.
just for the current inventory. In 2013, we had over 14 months of inventory.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. In 2016, we dropped to 7 months of inventory.
Wow.
Right now, we're at about 4.3 months of inventory.
That means you need more houses.
Yes, and that's just Nash County.
Well, Kathy, this has been a lot of good information. I know you've got more in there. If somebody wants to really get some more deep dive conversation with you on what's going on in the market, if they're now really thinking, maybe my house is worth something and I should
Right.
consider selling, how can they get in touch with you at Fathom?
They can give me a call at 252-266-4038.
All right, Kathy, we appreciate you coming on, and we'll see you in technically 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yes.
All right, thank you very much. We'll be right back with our next look at the weather after these messages.